Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
And you're very welcome along to the Friday Football Betting Show, streamed live every week across our social channels, on Off the Ball, on Facebook, on Twitter and on YouTube. Now folks, never gamble more than you can afford. This show is for over 18s. Please gamble responsibly. I'm John Duggan, joined as always in the company of the presenter of Premier League Live, Philip Egan of Today FM, and Leon Blanche of Boyle Sports. Have you recovered yet, lads, from last night?
Didn't sleep a wink after last night. No, just because the game was such high energy, and it was so intense watching it that when I went to bed after, I was just lying there thinking about it. And you know, because the fine margins, I was thinking, wonder what would have happened if this had happened, or if, you know, if Mane had scored, or if the ref had given a red card to Vincent Kompany, or if you know, if City hadn't scored just before half time. But I thought City deserved the win. Manchester
City 2, Liverpool 1, Leon.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Phil. I think City deserve 3 points, and I think over a season your luck balances itself out. Liverpool have had a lot of luck. Mahrez missed a penalty, Jordan Pickford made an absolute hames of it, and last night could have been a red card, could have been an opening goal for Mane. John Stones, what was it, 11 millimetres between the goal being given and not being given. So over a season it'll balance itself out. I still think if you're Jurgen Klopp and you're Liverpool, you're quite content where you are. But I do feel the next league game is a must-win for Liverpool, just to get back to winning ways and just to give yourself that little bit of a boost that, look, you've lost one game, so what, move on.
How has the complexion of the title race odds changed, Leon?
Massively. Liverpool were almost 2-1 on before last night's game. They're now 4-5, and City have closed right in. I think from 7-4, they're now 6-5. Spurs, amazingly, are 18-1, even though...
The Pogues! The Pogues!
But even though they're only 2 points behind City, 6 behind Liverpool, yes, Spurs are probably a little bit inconsistent, but they still haven't had a draw yet this year in the league. They've
amazing,
won...
isn't it, really?
I like Spurs, it's just win or bust.
Yeah, but I mean, they've won 16 and lost 5. And that Wolves game really might come back to haunt Spurs in the run-in. But Liverpool still favourites, and I think rightly so.
Phil, why did City win last night? Why did Liverpool lose?
I think what was very fascinating was Pep Guardiola is obviously a little bit spooked by Liverpool and that great record they had. That was only the second win in 12 that City have against Liverpool. And his team selection, you know, Laporte, Danilo. When I saw the City team, I thought he's given Liverpool the ultimate respect there, and this is a chance for Liverpool. But I think Liverpool got it wrong. In midfield, the Milner, Wijnaldum and Henderson 3 worked last season when they played a more high energy game, but now they play a more possession based game. Those lads can't thread passes through. Fabinho made a difference, but to answer your question, in midfield, Fernandinho and Bernardo Silva were the difference, and City just a bit more comfortable in possession and more clinical. Aguero's goals, some people are blaming Alisson. The ball was gone by him before he could even get his hand up.
No, it was a fantastic
Aguero
goal.
Did the same to De Gea at the Etihad earlier in the season.
I remember the World Cup against Iceland, rifled it into the net. They didn't even know what was coming. You're a Liverpool fan, Leon. How have you been feeling? Have you been feeling very nervous recently? Have you felt as nervous as you've been probably since you were a kid? Yeah, because look, Liverpool, as we all know, it'll be 29 years if they don't win the league come May. So it's an awful long time as a supporter to be trying to win the most important competition. If you're a fan of an English club, is the Premier League. But they've been exceptional, John. They have been absolutely exceptional. It's one defeat out of 21. God, if you were a Liverpool fan at the start of the season, you would be in dreamland if you said you were 4 points clear, having played City twice, Arsenal twice, Spurs away, Chelsea away, United at home. I mean, look, all is not lost. Let's not forget that you're still 4 points clear. That's why I just think the Brighton game is a must-win, more psychological than anything else. You just need to get back to winning ways. And the next 4 or 5 league games, they all look very winnable on paper before Liverpool play Man United at the end of February.
And that Brighton game is a Saturday afternoon, whereas City don't play Wolves until Monday. So it's that case of strike first, put the pressure on City, and Wolves have a very good record against top 6 this season. They've already drawn with City. They've recently just won at Spurs. So this is, like, I actually thought, we all knew January 3rd was going to be a pivotal night in the Premier League title race. 5 or 6 weeks ago, I thought Liverpool would have to win at the Etihad just to even stay within touching distance of City. So the fact that it's all turned pretty much since that Pickford mistake. Liverpool, since the Arsenal game, had won 9 in a row. So if they can go on a run now and win 5 or 6 in a row, the City game is quickly forgotten. But I just think they were a bit too tentative last night, Liverpool.
The impact, though, on the players psychologically. City, will they now go on a run, rack up a load of wins because they've had a wobble? They've beaten Liverpool now. And will Liverpool start feeling the pressure?
Well, this is where the pressure kicks in, because anyone that's been in a title race will always say it's now until the end of May, especially around March, where there could be Champions League involvement as well for both clubs, and team selections are going to be important. There's going to be games where you don't play well, but you just have to grind out wins. Liverpool are better at doing that, but we don't know if they can handle the pressure. Jurgen Klopp is experienced in title races with Dortmund. He has got over the line. I think he's the kind of manager that could actually use all the energy and the way the fans are going to get so emotional for Liverpool. I think Klopp could actually use that in a positive way, whereas sometimes it might weigh the players down, but I actually think it could work in their favour.
Leon, I'm looking at the odds for the top 4, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 4 wins out of 4 for Manchester United. 11-4 now to be in the top 4.
Yeah, because I think, the two teams who they'll obviously be challenging for that 4th spot, Chelsea and Arsenal, have both had slip-ups. And it doesn't matter that it's been 4 easy games in terms of the opposition. The way United are playing at the moment, there's a freedom about them. They seem happy. They seem that they've got a bit of love back for actually putting on that jersey. Rashford is playing out of his skin. Lukaku's goal against Newcastle, to me, identified a crucial thing that what Solskjaer has done. The players are playing for him now. Lukaku came on that pitch and he was ready to come on. He was ready to make an impact as soon as he came on, and he did it. You look at Sanchez, he set up Rashford for the second goal. They all just seem happier, John. And there's a big test coming away to Spurs at Wembley after the FA Cup. That'll really tell me where are United. Now, if they went to Wembley and got 3 points, Chelsea and Arsenal are going to be really looking over their shoulder. Chelsea can't score. We saw they don't have a number 9. Giroud is out. Morata he just can't do it, John.
Just doesn't like physicality.
No, he doesn't. And the pressure is coming on Hazard. You can see it. Every single game now, it's up to him to be the match winner. He can't do it week in, week out, all the time. And as for Arsenal, they just cannot defend.
Philip, if United get in the top 4, would Solskjaer have a chance of getting the job, or is that just pie in the sky stuff?
I think I can understand why people say, "Oh, give him the job," but there's a different pressure. Like, he's gone in there and it's a free hit, and I like what he's done so far. Even the other night was noticeable when they were 2-0 up. He brings on Jesse Lingard. That's Jose Mourinho. He's bringing on Fellaini. He's just bringing on. It's all about attack. That double substitution, bringing on Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. But there's a different pressure. If he gets top 4, you say what an achievement. But then if you go into the next season saying, right, you are now our man, it's all up to you, then the pressure is immense, and he just doesn't have the experience for it.
Folks, how are you doing? Get in touch with your comments on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Have you seen anything beautiful magical in the FA Cup? Of course, it's magic in the Cup. The last 64 of the third round starting tonight with Tranmere against Tottenham. But first, we're going to look at the offers of the week with Leon Blanche here at Ball Sports of the third round of the FA Cup. Starting with this one, Wolves hosting Liverpool at Molineux on Monday night. A goal to be scored in the first 15 minutes was 2-1, now 3-1.
Well, look, I think Phil has touched on about Wolves. They're not afraid to play any type of opposition. They play a really attractive brand of football. The big thing here is how many players will Klopp rotate? I mean, you look at some of the players who just are still on the bench. Keita, the likes of Lallana, the likes of Sturridge, I think even Origi. The big problem Klopp has is that centre half. He's going to have to give, I think, Van Dijk a rest, because I think Gomez is about 10 days to 2 weeks away. Matip probably another week. Lovren, to me, is still, he's an accident waiting to happen. And it'll be interesting to see the team selection. But I think there's going to be goals in this game. I think both teams can score.
The next offer here with Ball Sports on the Friday Football Betting Show. Fulham, Watford and Leicester City to win. Fulham playing Oldham, Watford going to Woking, Leicester away to Newport County. Was even money out, 2-1, Leon.
Look, you're doubling the odds here, John. But as we know with the FA Cup and the three sides there, they're not world beaters. And some of these lesser teams will be hoping that they can knock out a Premier League opposition in the FA Cup. But evens to 2-1, decent enhancement.
And the final offer this week with Ball Sports, Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal to win. So the big guns, United hosting Reading, Chelsea at home to Nottingham Forest, Arsenal going to Blackpool. Was 6-4 on, now 6-4, Leon.
I think this is the best of the three, John. I'd be very surprised if United, Chelsea and Arsenal don't all progress at the first time of asking into the fourth round. 6-4 from 4-6, very, very decent enhancement.
And if you bet €10, folks, you'll get €40 with Now TV membership. New customers only with Ball Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Check it out, offtheball.com/Ball Sports. Now, we got a walk of shame here because I wasn't here for the last few weeks. I was on a well-deserved break. So let's see how badly everybody did on the last edition of the Friday Football Betting Show. Raf Diallo, one of our members of the Off the Ball team. Cardiff City against Manchester United, draw. Loser.
It was Christmas party season, John.
You know, it must have been the night after the party, lads. Leon Blanche said Hampton, Chelsea and Manchester United all to win. Chelsea lost to Leicester. Loser.
Well, yeah, look, I was unfortunate, John. Chelsea losing to Leicester, at least 2 out of 3, but yeah, I mean, that was a shock. It was a huge shock. But again, it's like what I touched on earlier. They struggle for goals. They really struggle for goals.
Stephen Doyle from the Off the Ball team as well had a bet, which was Alexander Mitrovic and Danny Ings to score any time in their respective matches. Ings did, Mitrovic didn't. Loser. And Philip Egan, Newcastle and Bournemouth to win. Newcastle drew with Fulham. Loser.
Bournemouth won.
Yeah, that's the problem when you're doing doubles and multiples and accums. So just to give you a rundown what the suits have asked me back in here this week, I've tipped 10 bets on the show, 6 winners, 59.5% profit to level stakes. That's why I'm here, folks. Never gamble more than you can afford, but I'm keeping up the show. I'm keeping the show on the road here, folks. You know, I feel like Donald Trump of the Friday Football Betting Show, but yeah, no, I'm only messing here. And Philip and Leon know their stuff, so it always turns. Philip will have a run, Leon will have a run, I'll have a run. That's the way it goes. So the FA Cup, the magic of the cup. Get your betting predictions in. We'll give you a shout out on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Off the Ball, our social channels. So when I was 8, I sat down to watch Coventry against Spurs in 1987 in the cup final, and I was absolutely devastated. I don't think I finished my dinner. Gary Madden put the ball into his own net, and the FA Cup meant so much. It was 100,000 people at Wembley. I'd love to have been there. I've never been there for an FA Cup final because Tottenham have only been in one since, I think, in 1991. Philip Egan, your earliest FA Cup memory?
It's funny, my dad was at the 88 Cup final.
Wimbledon?
Yeah, and he thought it was hilarious that he brought back a Wimbledon cap after Dave Besson saved that penalty from John Aldridge and Laurie Sanchez scored. That was... You think of the first 10 seconds of that game, Vinnie Jones absolutely creases Steve McMahon out of it. Would have been one of those where...
It was Keane Overmars stuff.
Yeah, but it was actually, if you watch it back, it was even worse.
It was worse. It was almost a red card.
It's horrific.
Red card now.
Straight red.
Straight red.
Yeah.
It'd be a straight red.
Yeah.
Nothing, it was just a telling off in that,
I'm here.
in that cup final.
Yeah.
Just a reducer. In fairness, Steve McMahon knew how to put in a tackle as well.
Yeah. And your earliest memory, Leon?
I think 86, Liverpool going
Ian
for
Rush.
Ian Rush, Ronnie Whelan. That great Liverpool
double.
side, the double.
3-1 against Everton.
Yeah, 3-1 against Everton. Like Phil, obviously, I do remember that dreaded day when Aldridge missed the penalty. And your side, I'll never forget Paul Gascoigne's free kick in the semi-final against Arsenal.
Schoolboy's own stuff.
It was just magical.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was just, I mean, a free kick that just had everything.
1991.
Yeah, 91. And then, obviously, the final when Gascoigne went for that
Never the
crazy
same player.
challenge.
Never the same player after that.
Was it on against
Gary
Charles?
Charles,
yeah.
Early against Nottingham Forest. I was doing my confirmation.
Yeah.
Bet you wore your Spurs jersey.
I was doing the confirmation trials. You know, kind of a mock confirmation when you go up there and you got to do the confirmation, whatever. This way you got to do a confirmation day. It's the mock, right? So I got home and I didn't have the chance to change out of my confirmation suit. So I was doing handstands on the couch when Des Walker put the ball into the back of the net to give Spurs a 2-1 win, and I hadn't changed out of my confirmation clothes. And that's the last time Spurs won the FA Cup.
It's the last time, yeah.
You need to get your confirmation clothes.
But John, as a Spurs fan, do you look at this as a realistic chance of getting a trophy?
15-2 at Ball Sports, Leon, and I think I would go to Wembley. I would never been to an FA Cup final. I was at the League Cup final against Chelsea 3 years ago. It was 15, they lost. It's still a cup final.
Yeah.
Look, you're not going to get excited as you would have been in the previous years when you're going through the rounds, you get to the semi-final, whatever.
Yeah.
So when you get to the final, and Spurs have won a trophy under Pochettino, of course I take it. But if you're, like, I was going through the last 25 years, only Everton, Portsmouth and Wigan out of 5 clubs have won the FA Cup. So it's Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea and Arsenal. And if you're United, you're winning it all the time. If you're Arsenal, we're winning it to kind of save Arsene Wenger's bacon. So I think it depends on the relationship you have with the winning trophies and being in the final. So if you're a Liverpool fan, of course, the league is everything now. The Champions League is everything. So I think it's relative to your own experience. Best FA Cup memory?
Probably Gascoigne's goal.
Yeah?
I will say it, because it was so far out. He was over 35 yards out.
It was, yeah.
And he just absolutely drilled it. And to beat Seaman at the time when he was probably one of the best in the world in goal,
and Arsenal
great
were
goal.
league champions that season.
It was phenomenal.
The 2001, speaking of David Seaman, where Arsenal battered Liverpool.
Oh yeah, Michael
Owen. Absolutely battered them.
Michael Owen.
Ancho handles one off the line.
First final in Cardiff.
Yeah, and Michael Owen comes up with 2 goals, but the first or the second and the winner. You know, it was just the timing of it. Obviously, that was a good season for Liverpool. They had their own little cup treble. But some of that, like Gerrard's goal against West Ham when he was out on his feet, cramped up.
Just hit it.
Like the 1990 cup final, the 3-3, that was amazing.
Well, it was Ferguson's first trophy in 1990.
Yeah. Well, we all remember Mark Robins' goal, saving his job.
Saving his career at Manchester United, scored against Nottingham Forest in the 3rd round. Now, Chelsea playing Nottingham Forest this weekend. Unfortunately, football's changed. Nottingham Forest now not a threat really to Chelsea unless there's a massive upset this weekend. But Nottingham Forest is a difficult place to go. They won 1-0. I think he scored in every round apart from the final. Remember against Oldham in the semi-final?
Oldham, yeah.
It's put through. You know he's going to score, and he scored. It's a bit like Scalacci that year. Similar kind of run, you know?
Yeah, he was on fire. He was on fire.
Yeah. So why has it lost its lustre? Is it the Champions League? Is it the Premier League? Is it the fact that United pulled out of it in 2000 and was never the same? What is it?
It's probably as well the fact that there's so much football on now that, like, there's Premier League fans now this weekend are thinking, I need a break because there's been so much football on over Christmas. So the FA Cup, they'll sacrifice watching the FA Cup. But it still gets you. There's still games where, like, you think back to Newport County last season where they gave Spurs a real scare in the 4th round and they sent them to Harry Kane needed a late goal just to get a replay for Spurs. So you do still get moments, but they're few and far between, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think even touched on your point, John, you're talking about the Premier League and the Champions League, but even look at sides that are down at the bottom end of the Premier League, they're willing to sacrifice the FA Cup just to give themselves a chance of staying in the league. So
Benitez did that against Burnley a few years ago. He put out some awful team for Liverpool.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a, come on.
Yeah.
No, you got to have some respect for it.
Some respect for it.
Some respect for it.
Look, I think Manchester United...
Jimmy Traore own goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think United not competing in the competition in the first place should have never been allowed to happen. That was a big, big boo-boo by the FA. You've got to make every single team take part in the FA Cup. It doesn't matter what they're playing in. That probably didn't help.
We've had a comment in here from Conor Whelan. I don't know if he's here trolling me, Conor. I think I know him on Twitter. But 1987, Keith Houch and Diving Header makes it into his top FA Cup moments. For that trolling piece of beautiful commentary, Conor, we're going to give you a €50 bet. I'm feeling generous. I've got over Coventry Spurs. I'm feeling generous. We're going to give you a €50 free bet with thanks to Ball Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Giant killing. It's funny because, as I was just saying there, like in the last 25 years, mainly the main teams have won. I remember even when Chelsea beat United in 07, Didier Drogba scored the winner. It was a game that really meant something to Jose Mourinho. Last year's game, Chelsea United in the cup final. You're going back to the 70s, Ronnie Radford. You had Sunderland beating Leeds. You had West Ham and Southampton winning the second division clubs. And recent years, really, I suppose the biggest one was Wigan, wasn't it, 2013?
And they got relegated.
Yeah, Roberto Martinez ended up in a World Cup semi-final 5 years later. It's kind of bizarre. Ben Watson.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
Watson, yeah.
You know, we'd Lincoln last year. Lincoln City was, I think, the first non-league team since 1914 to get to the quarterfinals.
And even when Pompey won it, I mean, that was
Harry, wasn't it?
That was Harry. Yeah. I mean,
and he's now in the jungle.
Yeah,
well, he's out of the jungle.
He's out of it now. He's king of the jungle.
He's the king of the jungle.
He's the king of the jungle. Yeah, but yeah, I still like it. I mean, I still like the FA Cup. I remember it, you know, as we all do as a kid, and that FA Cup final Saturday, you got up at 8 o'clock, you had your breakfast, and the coverage went from 9 a.m.
BBC or ITV, guys?
BBC.
But even that, Leon, it's looking at, like, there's a game on tonight. It's going all the way through to Monday. Third round used to just be
Saturday
packed.
afternoons.
Yes. Saturday afternoon, you'd be looking at the video printer on BBC.
Or watching RT might have a game. They used to have a 3 o'clock game.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Spurs lose to Port Vale. That was awful. And then Spurs lost, I think, to Bradford as well one year.
Nicky Thomas against Arsenal for Wrexham. That was on TV. That was on RTE. I remember that.
Yeah, you know, so...
The left peg.
Yeah,
great goal.
But you're right, Leon. I remember, like, it's the build-up, the whole day build-up. It's Abide With Me. It's 100,000 people at the old Wembley. So I'm feeling the magic, guys. I'm feeling the magic. So can we try and make some money this week, I suppose, is the kind of the key. Get in touch with your predictions, folks, for the FA Cup third round. Lots of matches, as we said, Spurs against Tranmere tonight. A lot of matches tomorrow. And then, on, of course, the Sunday and Monday, we'll finish with Wolves against Liverpool. Have you got any kind of brilliant things that you're seeing here? Let's get to the Boyle Sports odds on a selection of the games. The holders, Chelsea 9-2 on against Nottingham Forest. Forest 12-1. The draw 5-1. Manchester United playing Reading at 12:30 tomorrow. United 9-1 on. Reading 22-1. The draw is 7-1. Arsenal 4-1 on to defeat Blackpool in the 5:30 game tomorrow. Blackpool 11-1. The draw 9-2. And Manchester City 14-1 on to beat Rotherham on Sunday. Rotherham 25-1. The draw 10-1. Philip, would you put all these into an accumulator? Are all these teams just going to win? I mean,
I know City got beaten by Wigan last season, but they're not going to slip up against Rotherham. Rotherham are down near the bottom of the Championship, and like Chelsea against Forest maybe is probably the one that I watched Forest against Leeds on New Year's Day, and they beat them 4-2. For some reason, Aitor Karanka's under pressure though. They're just outside the playoffs. So that could be maybe one game where you think there could be a slight shock on the cards. But Sarri has picked a strong team in the League Cup. He'll probably go with a strong enough team in the FA Cup. United, it's like that's a home banker. It's going to be 5 wins out of 5 for Solskjaer. So I don't see too many shocks for any of the big clubs.
Is this, Leon, how punters should bet or will bet in accumulators with these big clubs? Is that what generally happens with the FA Cup third round?
Yeah, normally is, John. And you're trying to find one team. I always look like, because I like doing a weekly accumulator for small money, I always try and get a team in and around the even money mark, maybe just a little bit less, just to boost your odds. I don't really like actually putting in sides worse than 1-3 or 1-4, because it's not really going to help you. They might win, but it's not even really going to help your return. But the 4 games you said there, I don't know why Crank is under pressure. They're very close to that was a big win against Leeds. Yes, Leeds had the man sent off, but Chelsea, this is a competition. Someone like Sarri, I think he'll put out a very strong team. I'd be surprised if any of those big sides lost.
Now, folks, what you got to remember about the FA Cup is remember to check the team sheets an hour before kick-off. I think it's the most important thing in this competition, especially with bigger clubs. Or I would maybe the kind of lower Premier League clubs playing clubs maybe doing well in the Championship. Derby Southampton is one that's coming to mind in my view. Or even Bristol City, I think, against Huddersfield. What are the teams that are being selected? With some of these clubs are just desperate to win Premier League games or try to survive or whatever. So that is very important. And once again, for even the top clubs, are who's playing their top team, or our team is playing a completely dummy team. Like, is Harry Kane going to play against Tranmere tonight? Doubt it. But is it going to affect Tottenham's chances? Don't think so. It just depends on. But if they were playing Leeds at Elland Road, would it? I think Leeds are playing QPR. So I think it's very important, folks, in the FA Cup, who is playing, and check your team sheets and try and get on Twitter and try and predict the teams before they're released. I remember reading the sports user tonight. The teams are released on the dot. They must be synchronised on the dot of the hour before. Darren McLaughlin watching on Facebook. Over 1.5 goals in every third round game will be worth a small stake at massive odds. Interesting.
And every single...
Yeah, maybe be selective, Darren, but €50 free bet with thanks to Boyle Sports. Terms and conditions applying for you for getting in touch. Let's look at some of these more evenly balanced contests. Wolves against Liverpool Monday night, of course. Check the teams. Liverpool 5-4 on, Wolves 100-30. The draw 13-5. Would you be taking odds on Liverpool?
No, I think Wolves will win.
Wolves will win?
Yeah, Wolves
100-30.
He's going to pick a strong team, Nuno, and they gave enough problems to Liverpool in the game before Christmas. Liverpool go on to win 2-0. But you're looking at wholesale changes. You're looking at the likes of Mignolet coming in. Lovren will probably play. Wouldn't be surprised if he played 3 at the back. Maybe brought someone like Klein into a 3-man defence so he could, because he does need to get Van Dijk a rest. Also, imagine Van Dijk got injured in a third round cup tie against Wolves. It'd be sinful for Klopp. The likes of Sturridge, even Rafa Camacho, the young lad, he could get a game. Lallana, Origi. So I would be definitely leaning towards Wolves. Now, Klopp could surprise me and pick a strong team, but that's why check the teams.
Yeah, I definitely think check the teams.
100-30 on that one. And the other close matches we're having here on the FA Cup third round. Bournemouth against Brighton. Bournemouth 21-20 on with Ball Sports. Brighton 3-1. The draw 23-10. Aston Villa against Swansea. Villa 21-20 on. Swansea 14-5. The draw 5-2. Derby against Southampton. The Saints 8-5. Derby 7-4. The draw 11-5. And Bristol City at home to Huddersfield. As I was saying, Bristol 13-10. Huddersfield 12-5. The draw at Ball Sports 2-1. Without giving away your bet this week, Phil, have you spotted any value here? Yeah,
Bristol City, unbeaten in 8 league games, and obviously Huddersfield are bottom, 8 defeats in a row, and Callum O'Dowd scored for Bristol City on New Year's Day against Stoke. That's one. Bristol showed in the League Cup last season they're quite decent in the Cup. If Everton were away to Lincoln, I think I'd be back in Lincoln. But because it's at Goodison, you'd still fancy Everton just to get through. But Lincoln are certainly a dangerous opposite. Like, Marco Silva's under so much pressure. Like, people are starting to wonder, is it time for him to go?
And the home form, Phil, hasn't been great.
I was there at the 6-2 game, the Everton Spurs game. They weren't great now.
No.
But as somebody said, where did Marco Silva? If Marco Silva's let go, is that more of an issue with the club? A lot of changes, chopping and changing, spending a lot of money on players, probably too much money.
It's a bit of both, because then Marco Silva will be known as the guy that comes in and does half a season for you. Did it for Hull, did it for Watford, and then if he was to be let go by Everton in the next few weeks, you'd be wondering, right, I need to get Marco Silva's agent, because he obviously is very good at getting him a job.
Any market moves, Leon, you've seen in the Cup?
There has been money for Villa. They started a shade of odds against. They're now odds on at 10-11 at home to Swansea. I like Villa. Yeah, you can say they were a bit naive against Leeds, 2-0 up, losing 3-2, but they're playing very, very well, Villa. They're playing attacking football. He's a very good manager, and I think Villa will beat Swansea. I think that's a decent bet.
Villa to beat Swansea, according to Leon Blanche in the FA Cup third round. Let's look at the outrights. Of course, it's the start of the new year. We want to be knowing who's going to win the Cup. It's obviously a bit difficult with the way teams have got different priorities in that. But the Ball Sports odds are for the outright market. Manchester City 4-1 favourites, Chelsea 13-2, Liverpool second favourites actually now at 6-1, Manchester United 7-1, Tottenham 15-2, Arsenal 9-1, Everton 20-1, Leicester and Wolves 25-1, West Ham 28-1, Watford 40s, 50-1 bar those. Philip, whose name is on the cup?
I think it's hard to call at this time because the draw is going to obviously have a huge influence in it. That's why, like, Liverpool, I see, are a better price than Manchester United, but United are going to be in the draw for the fourth round. I can't confidently say that about Liverpool. So take it one round at a time, but you'd be looking at, say, City and Chelsea would be the two teams, I think, because I think Sarri is going to take it quite seriously, and Guardiola will make changes, but they've got enough quality that they could get themselves through to a quarter-final or semi-final before he starts picking a stronger team.
Leon, whose name's on the cup?
Man United. I think with Solskjaer, I don't believe he'll be there at the start of next season, no matter what he does. And I think for him to win a trophy, this is the most realistic chance they have of winning something. I think they'll be knocked out of the Champions League by PSG. And even if they are still in the FA Cup and concentrating on trying to get fourth, it's not a bad thing. They've got a big enough squad to cope with trying to get fourth and trying to win the FA Cup. As Phil rightly alludes to, it's all about the draw. You know, if they get drawn away to City, then you're saying, oh, you know, you're up against it. But I think this means more to Solskjaer than it does to a lot of the other top 4 or 5 Premier League managers.
Yeah, I think that's quite astute. I think that's quite a good point from Leon, and I think that's worth considering at 7-1. Let's get to these week's bets in the FA Cup. Put you out of your misery, get you some money for the weekend, but gamble responsibly, folks. Leon Blanche, first up, you've gone for Tottenham to beat Tranmere, Burnley to defeat Barnsley, and West Ham to get the better of Birmingham in a treble at 9-4.
Yeah, 9-4, John. Look, I'm hoping Spurs should win. I hope Troy Parrott, the ex-Belvedere kid, he's been lighting it up for Spurs under 21s. I'd love to see this kid get a start tonight. I think Burnley, they'll want to keep the little bit of momentum that they have going. And West Ham showed a little bit of bottle the other night. And in Marko Arnautovic, he's just class. I'd love him at Liverpool. I would really love him at Liverpool. I think if you were going to buy someone in January that could really push you on, he'd be the type of guy I'd be looking at. And I think he's open to a move, but West Ham fans won't like me for saying that. But hopefully those three can oblige.
Yeah, and also Good Bets Leon pointed us in the direction of United in the outright market and Villa as well to win this weekend. There was an ad in the 80s about milk. Now, not Irish milk, but it was about milk in England, which had a couple of Liverpool fans and talking about Accrington Stanley. Who were they exactly?
Stanley. Who were they?
Yeah.
I'm hearing it in my ear.
Accrington Stanley. Who were they?
Well, I'll tell you who Accrington Stanley are. They're the team that are going to beat Ipswich at the Wham Stadium this weekend.
The Wham Stadium?
That's where they play now, the Wham Stadium.
As in the bar or the band?
Whatever one you want. As long as you don't get barred or banned. But I actually stayed in a B&B across the road from the Wham Stadium. I was going to a game in Burnley.
This is Philip Egan's life trails?
I stayed in Accrington and I stayed across, and there's a pub called the Crown Bar and it's right outside it. And I went into the Wham Stadium and just had a look. It's not a nice place, I wouldn't think, to visit for away teams. And Ipswich are bottom of the Championship, just 2 wins all season. Paul Lambert says they're playing well, but you know he's obviously going to put a positive spin. I'm not surprised to see Ipswich are struggling since Mick McCarthy has left. And the final insult, there's going to be 2 final insults. Accrington Stanley beat them and they get brought down to League One by a former Norwich manager.
Free milk, folks, for everybody who backs Accrington at 9-5. The Dolly Parsons, 9-5. The Lily Tomlins, if you ever saw that movie. Kevin Kilban of the Antarctic has gone for a treble. Southampton to defeat Derby, Crystal Palace to beat Grimsby, and Bristol City to win their match with Huddersfield at a price of 6-1. So Kevin's going for the odds. To be fair, like, you don't need to win every week. It's all about one thing, folks. It's about profit. Profit. If you are a prophet, you will get profit. I'd like to think that I'm a prophet, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. I've gone for Derby County, folks, to beat Southampton at 7-4. Can you back my case, guys? Kevin Kilban's gone the other way.
Yeah, I would back your case because, again, it's Southampton have bigger fish to fry as in staying in the Premier League, and Derby have already had a joint killing this season in the League Cup and they beat Man United, and they'll be really looking forward to playing Southampton. And I think Frank Lampard will pick a very strong team here because at the end of the day, if they beat Southampton, it just gives these, and there's a lot of kids playing for Derby, gives them confidence.
Yeah. Do you agree, Phil?
Yeah, I think so. Harry Wilson scored 9 goals this season. All of them are on highlight reels. They're amazing goals. And,
he doesn't score,
but a lot of these kids are Premier League players on loan, so they, of course, they want to put on a good show.
The vote of confidence from Leon Blanche and Philip Egan draws this edition of the Friday Football Betting Show to a close. Thank you for watching, for listening. And please don't gamble more than you can afford, folks. It's over for 18s. Please gamble responsibly. We'll be back next Friday even for the Premier League return. Some of the matches involving Spurs, Man United. Who else have we got? Manchester City against Wolves, Liverpool against Brighton, as the lads were talking about, and West Ham versus Arsenal. Back at 12:15 next week. Join us then. Thank you and bye-bye.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.